All right, guys, today is Tuesday, October 17th, 2023, and I am going to get started on Steve's chassis and try to get it all finalized, sanded, prepped out, and ready for paint. It's not going to get painted today, but definitely this week. All right, guys, so that couple of minutes there, if you stayed on without skipping through, you can get the idea how long it actually takes to block sand something. I'm using 220 grit paper. Normally I use 180, but I am out, so I'm using 220. I'm using a lot of different blocks here. Just depends on the area of the chassis that I'm working on, what size of block I need. This one is actually a cut off of an old little spongy block. It's real soft, but it's nice to use in little small areas because I can grab one end of it and then just press it down on there and it'll sand that area. Use the one end of it, I guess. But there's a lot of primer on there, and this chassis was pitted so bad that I put a lot of rust defender up here on it, and then I go back and block it, and a lot. Most of the pits are sanding out. So, and you can clearly see it. Like there's a spot there, if you can see that from that far away. There's a spot right there that didn't sand, but there's actually a little, it's in both sides. It's like a raised little spot from when the cradle was pressed and made in the machine. So that's not that big of a deal. And of course I didn't get around it in my welds. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to Scotch-Brite those. But anyway, the mega area that is all visible when the hood's up is what I'm focusing on. So if it took that long to do that little spot, you can imagine how long it would take if I had to block sand the entire chassis out of it. It would be an insane amount of hours. But that's why we're just focused on the top side for when the hood's up. Not going to worry about the bottom of it or nothing. It'll all be painted. It's just, it's not going to be something to put mirrors under at a car show. It's still going to be nice. But anyway, this up here is the engine compartment on his car, the firewall, the inner fenders, core support, and everything's painted body color. It's really, really nicely done. So, if the frame goes in there and looks terrible, it's going to make the whole engine compartment look terrible. So this has to pop. But anyway, it'll look nice when I'm done with it. It's just going to take a lot of time to do this. So as you can see, I've block sanded the top of the frame. This is about the limit of what you can see when the hood's open. So this back up here you won't really see. But where I stopped blocking out, you can see the pits. See the dark areas, the low. So you'd have to keep sanding and sanding and sanding to get all that out of there. And that's the way all of that frame rail was. So that rust defender filled all of that. But anyway, imagine if you had to do the entire chassis, how much time it would actually take. Well, it sure doesn't take long before your knees are sore and your fingers are sore trying to get in every little spot on this thing. So the real hard to reach areas and the spots I can't get blocks on, like on the welded areas and up in the very edges, I'll have to use a Scotch-Brite to make sure I have paint adhesion. But had I have used just a regular primer on this, it would shrink. This rust defender does not shrink. But if this was done in like a urethane 2K high build and you went back and block sanded it out, it'd look pretty good for about the first month. And then when that paint shrunk, you would see all the pits showing up. They wouldn't be as deep, but you would see everything. So that is one of the best things of using the rust defender. But anyway, I've used that stuff since the 90s and I love it, and that's the reason. It'll make a bad body man look really good, I tell you. It has its uses for sure. This is going to take a lot of time. I went back and reshot these front areas because they were so pitted, and a spot on the side over there and a couple of other little spots I just shot the other day. But anyway, this one blocked out this time. I still need to work some more on this lower here, but it is blocking out. But there are certain areas that were really severe pitted and some areas that were not as bad. They're all pitted, just not, some were deeper than the others. But I think I am going to be done for the day. I can't sit on my knees out here on this concrete anymore. It's 3:30 in the afternoon anyway, so I've been out here doing this most of the day anyway. Thanks for watching.